Now, welcome back to Christopher Tracy's Parade. All the wonderful people should come and hear Christopher Tracy's piano. It is the 30th anniversary of Parade being released, and as we all know, Parade is Prince's 8th album released March 31st, 1986. It's actually April 1st here, but in America and Britain, while I'm recording this, it is still, I believe, March the 31st. Now, after the 31-21 series fairly much tanked, I was glad to get that out of the way and get into this, because I really love this album. Basically, this is one of my favourite albums. It's really, 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 really funky, and I consider it my third favourite Prince album of all time. Parade, incredibly unlike all the other albums, Parade was not really that well received when it first came out, and I'll explain in a minute. But first of all, just to bring into the context, Prince had this very different look when Parade came out. This is the look, even though this book is much later, this is the look Prince went for. And as you all know, all you true Prince fans know about the Purple Rain era Prince, you know, where he had the big hair, he had the jerry curl, the perm, all the purple clothes, and his hair was flounced out, and he had all the makeup on. And then when we get into late 1985-86, Prince actually shaved his hair down to this look for mid-1985 when he started recording Under the Cherry Moon, but we didn't really see it until early 1986 when he was at the American Music Awards, and he had the new short hairdo. But what he did was, there's a famous video from October 1985 where he's taping a video for the single America, and Prince is actually wearing like a big bandana around his hair, and in reality there was nothing behind the bandana, and it was just because people were still used to the big hair, flounced out perm and jerry curl, grandma curtain wearing Prince look of the Purple Rain era. But this was the new look, and basically along with the new look came a new sparse sound that you hear all throughout Parade, gone with the big jangly watery guitars and all the marimba solos and all the banging on the drums and everything else, and then came a new sort of more mechanical, almost Spartan funk. And I've just shown you the album. I'm just going to show you some singles from this era. Now, Parade had at least 4 singles. This is the first one, which, as you can see, these are my 12 inches. I love them. Yep. This was the first one, and this was the big hit. This was Kiss. Kiss came out actually before the album. It came out on February 5th, 1986, and it was a #1 smash in the UK. Got to I think it was number 2 or number 4 in the UK, and it was a worldwide hit. And basically, Tom Jones ripped it off 3 or 4 years later, and it was absolutely terrible rip-off of it. But basically, Kiss is the iconic one, and everyone knows who this is on the back. Of course, it's Wendy Melvoin, who was the main guitarist in the Revolution, and she's still wearing the paisley print. Okay, and this is Prince, of course, and this is just a dance mix of it. Okay, now I don't actually have the second single, which was Mountains. Now, Mountains was released in May 1986, and surprisingly, it was actually a flop. It only got to about number 23 on the charts, and it's a shame, but this is a dance mix. Actually, the label's different, and originally I thought this might be a boot, but it's actually not. It was actually a DJ single, so it's a 12-inch dance single. And the third single only came out in the UK. It was a mix of girls and boys, and this is actually a maxi single here. This is quite cool. It's got Under the Cherry Moon as B-side, which was an album track. This came out in July 1986 in lieu of Prince's first big tour of the UK, where he played Wembley in July 1986, and it was a great time for Prince to come in, because he only came in earlier in 1981 for the Lyceum, and it was only like a small show. No one had even heard of Prince back then. They released Head, We've Got to Stop Messing about 4 times, and it went nowhere. But then in 1983, he was supposed to play the Hammersmith Odeon, but he never came, because I think he was in something to do with Purple Rain and recording the new Vanity 6 album just when Vanity Upton left. And then in 1985, Prince did come over to receive a Best International Artist Award at the BPI, but he left such a bad impression. This was February 1985. He still had the big pompadour, and Big Chick was his bodyguard, and the bodyguards apparently got a bit too pushy with the paparazzi. So by July 86, this came out, and because Prince's star had risen so high in the UK, Jay will probably be able to back me up here. This is before Jay became a fan, but he probably knows this song very well. This was a number 10 hit, and this was actually quite a large hit in the UK. And also, I mean, as you can see, it's got the 3 songs on it, and it's actually a rather effeminate looking portrait of Prince, wouldn't you agree? I mean, is he wearing earrings and what looks like a halter top there? But anyway, hilarious stuff, yep. And then finally, the 3rd single in the USA and also in the UK, 4th single for the UK, because Kiss and Mountains were released here too, was this Doozy, Another Love, A Hole in Your Head. and it's a really great melody. I really like this song, but this song was even a huge, colossal flop. It only got to number 63 on the American charts. I have no idea why, but my guess is that something else might have precipitated that problem. I'm about to pull it out and show you. It's a certain the other thing that comes with Parade, I'm not going to review it in this series of videos, is this movie here, Under the Cherry Moon. I love it. A lot of Prince fans love it, but essentially it was a flop, and people made jokes like, oh, Prince spent $14 million of the budget on his mascara. Basically, Prince was into mascara at the time, and it's corny and camp, but generally it was considered self-indulgent 80s nonsense. And that might have been, and again, he's got his Christopher Tracy persona here in this single. And I think this came out in August or September of 1986, and after that, Prince probably didn't really care anymore. He was so busy. By the time this came out, Prince was entering a pretty fallow period, because it was when he finished the Hit and Run tour, not to be confused with the Hit and Run tour we have now. Basically, the Hit and Run albums and the Piano and Microphone tour, sorry. But the Hit and Run tour basically finished up in Japan in September 1986. Matters had reached a head with Wendy and Lisa, and basically, we all know, October 1st, 1986, Prince basically fired Wendy and Lisa after inviting them over for a meal at his house in LA. And then he rang up Bobby Z and fired him too, and basically Sheila E was brought into the group. But I'll talk about this in the next video, which is about basically behind the music, but this is just my introduction video. But the revolution was over basically, and so by October 1986, Prince had recorded most of what would end up on Sign of the Times. He'd also recorded a lot of outtakes and a lot of new songs for Crystal Ball and the Dream Factory projects, both of which never saw the light of day. And also by late 86, Prince was having a major barney with Warner Brothers, because even though he'd had the Purple Rain, Heights of Fame, unfortunately what had happened was that his album sales had been dropping off. Purple Rain sold 17 million copies, as we all know. Around the World in a Day sold about 4 million, and the Parade album, as great as it was, it didn't reach number 1, only got to number 3 on the American charts, and it only sold about 2 million copies in America and about another million copies worldwide, which is still impressive numbers. But basically Prince, he even admitted now that, Purple Rain just got too big. He wanted it just to keep going. He just wanted to keep being a big hit, and as stylish and funky as this music was, people just weren't really buying it by 86, maybe because he had all the imitators like Ready for the World, and even Duran Duran. This will really make you guys laugh. They had a single on their new album Notorious called Skin Trade, and Simon Le Bon of all people was singing in a Prince falsetto on this song. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but it's on their greatest album. It's also on their album Notorious, but it really does sound like Prince basically. And yeah, so by 1986 I think people were just getting a wee bit tired of Prince, and also then you had the funny real rip-off acts like Exotic Storm. I don't know if anyone's heard of them, but their videos are on YouTube. It's this group. They were clearly a Minneapolis sound rip-off, and they had a dude in it called Desiree Moore who looks like a mix between Prince and Des Dickerson. And one of their Prince-like songs included the unforgettable lyrics, "Bombs be dropping everywhere, they better not harm your silky hair." And then of course 85, 86, the other big Prince act that actually did have a hit, unlike Exotic Storm, was Ready for the World. Had a song called Oh Sheila, which hit number 1 in October 85, and everyone could have sworn it was Prince, but it wasn't Prince. But anyway, so that's my introduction to Parade. Didn't want to be late with the video, but Parade is a great album, and I'm going to do some more talking about it, regardless of whether the video gets 1 view or 827 views, which is what my second show review is up to now. But anyway, it's a funky album. I mean, even the sound-like cuts of the Prince Parade era sound is great, but we're going to talk about some technical stuff in the next video. But this is my welcome to the Parade. Okay, all the boys and girls.